I'm up above the Ogwen Valley between Capelcerrig and Bethesda in Eryri, Snowdonia, northwest Wales, and I'm here today to introduce the first clip on a new YouTube channel. And the channel has been set up by John Barnard, Graham Jackson and myself, Mervyn Phillips. It's going to be a channel dedicated towards some of our past, present and future surveying projects, as well as surveys of various hills in Britain. Now, our current surveying activities have stemmed out of the need for accuracy within the database of British hills, and Graham and John are two of the current 6 editors of that database. But I'm also here today to announce our next surveying project. And that surveying project is to ascertain a definitive, accurate height to one of the most iconic mountains anywhere in Britain. Probably the most iconic mountain, along with a Wyddfa, Snowdon, anywhere in Wales. Now, can anybody guess which mountain that is? It's the mountain behind me, Tryfan. Now, this surveying project has been set up mainly because of 2 factors. One is the heighting value given to Tryfan, and the second factor are those heights associated with mountains in Britain. Now, this is where it could get quite technical, so I'm going to generalise to simplify this next segment. The heighting value of Tryfan. Now, heights on Ordnance Survey maps appear in 2 colours, black and brown. The black heights on Ordnance Survey maps are normally associated with triangulation pillars. Usually, the height is taken to the top of the adjoining flush bracket. Now, black heights on Ordnance Survey maps have a margin of error of plus or minus 0.3 of a metre. Now, brown spot heights on Ordnance Survey maps, they have normally been ascertained from Ordnance Survey aerial photography, and they have a margin of error of plus or minus 3 metres. Now, that's important, so remember it, plus or minus 3 metres. Now, the second factor for setting up this surveying project are those heights associated with mountains in Britain. The 2 most commonly known are 2,000 foot and 3,000 foot. Now, 2,000 foot, that's generally accepted as the minimum height for mountain status in Britain, probably more so for Wales and England, whereas 3,000 foot is most commonly associated with the Munros in Scotland, of which there are currently 283. Now, depending upon criterion used, England only has 8 3,000 foot mountains, and again, depending upon criterion used, Wales has either 15 or, with the inclusion of Castell y Gwynt, 16 3,000 foot mountains. Now, out of those 16 Welsh 3,000 foot mountains, the mountain behind me, Tryfan, is the lowest in height. Now, this surveying project has been set up by John Barnard, Graham Jackson and myself, Mervyn Phillips, in conjunction with the Snowdonia Society, represented by Alan Pugh, their current director. We have involvement from the radio and television from the BBC, and that's been organised by Chris Dearden, a BBC Wales reporter. Now, this all depends upon the heighting of Tryfan. Now, the metric height given to Tryfan on Ordnance Survey maps is 915 metres. Now, this is where I'll juggle between metric and imperial measurement. If you consider that minimum benchmark height of 3,000 foot and convert that into metric measurement, it comes out at 914.4 metres. And if we convert Tryfan's metric heighting on Ordnance Survey maps of 915 metres into imperial measurement, it comes out at 3,002 foot. Now, that means Tryfan's map height is literally no more than 0.6 of a metre, or in imperial measurement 2 foot up above that minimum benchmark height of 3,000 foot. And we then have to ask ourselves the question, what colour spot height is associated with Tryfan on Ordnance Survey maps? The colour spot height is brown. Now, we know that brown spot heights have a margin of error of plus or minus 3 metres. In imperial measurement, approximately plus or minus 10 foot. So in effect, Tryfan may not be a 3,000 foot mountain. Now, this surveying project, as I've mentioned before, set up by John, Graham and myself in conjunction with the Snowdonia Society. The public announcement will be via the Snowdonia Society's quarterly produced magazine, coming out towards the middle of March, and that's their spring edition. We plan to survey Tryfan in the middle of June of this year. We have a 3 to 3.5 month time frame gap between public announcement and the day of the survey. And what we hope to do in that time frame is to have a detailed reconnaissance of the top of Tryfan. No doubt many people viewing this clip have been to the top of Tryfan. You know what the summit architecture is like. Tryfan is crowned by two monolithic blocks, Adam and Eve, in Welsh Adda ac Efa. And because of Adam and Eve, the top of Tryfan poses its own unique summit surveying difficulties, and on the day of the reconnaissance we aim to overcome those to ascertain how and where to place the equipment to take 2 hours of data that is required for Ordnance Survey verification of the result. Now, also within that 3-month time frame, we hope to post various clips on this YouTube channel. We'll post them approximately 1 week apart, and they'll be from the start of the project going back to the start of October of last year through to the culmination of the project at the day of the survey. So if you're interested in seeing whether Tryfan really is 3,000 foot high, you've got a channel to tune into on YouTube, and you can see how this project progresses. Various clips of the people involved behind it, individual interviews with them. So I think for now I've just got one last question to pose. When you look at that mountain behind me, what do you think? Is Tryfan really 3,000 foot high? Well, for the answer to that question, all I can say is over the next 3 to 3.5 months, watch this space.